Welcome everybody from the Sparx Systems YouTube channel. It's great to have you here today. Once again, we're looking at our urban parking system repository that's been designed and developed in Enterprise Architect. In the last few videos, we've been looking at systems modeling language, or SysML for short. And today we're going to be looking at the package diagram within SysML, and we're going to see how to develop that in Enterprise Architect. My name's Scott Hebbard. I'm joined by Stephen Maguire. Welcome, Stephen. How are you today?
Very well, thank you, Scott, and always a pleasure to be here. Yes, we are going to look at the SysML, so the Systems Modeling Language Package Diagram. Let's get right into this, dive deep into it. As always, Scott, I like to set my perspective. I've been doing some work with executable state machines, so some kind of simulations of states. I'm going to change my focus now to being systems engineering and the SysML. The tool adapts itself, changes its focus. We now got a builder page which has got a whole lot of different patterns on it there, and we can see a range of different patterns with state machine diagrams, parametric diagrams. This project structures one is interesting, Scott, because we can look at that and we can see that there are a whole lot of packages there. We're going to look at actually how we create a package diagram. So I like to do things in first principles. I'm going to close this builder page and I'm going to start work in the repository. Now the package diagram is very similar to the unified modeling language package diagram, and in many ways it resembles the kind of folder structure that you have on your file explorer, your favorite file explorer. So packages can contain other packages which can contain items as well. The other interesting thing about the package diagram is that it is also related to stakeholders and the views that they see from particular viewpoints. So we'll see how that all works. Let's go into our systems engineering node in the project browser, and we'll have a look and see that we've done a number of other diagram types before. We've got our boom gate parking requirements, we've got subsystems, we've got a use case model, and under that subsystems we had a state machine diagram as well. So the diagrams don't have to be in separate packages by themselves. We're going to create a package now that's going to be focusing on the stakeholder views and viewpoints.
Okay.
So let's get started. We're going to create that package. We'll go OK to that. And now we need to create a package diagram underneath this one. So I'm going to now create a new diagram by going up to the browser toolbar, new diagram icon, click on that. The focus is on SysML, so they're the only diagram types we're showing. The diagram types listed there, you can see package there halfway down. We're just going to say create diagram and accept the default name. We could change that if we wanted to, but let's accept the default name. Create the diagram. Again, we get the SysML frame, and remembering this information is repeated up here above the start page in a little band there. So we're free to either hide or show that frame. So let's just show how you can do that. Simply right mouse click, halfway down there's an option to show the diagram frame. Let's leave the frame on for a minute, and then if it gets in our way, we can turn it off. But remember, if you want to publish things and you want them to be compliant with the standard when you're publishing out information, you want to turn that frame back on again if you have it off. So let's create some packages, Scott, in our project browser. So we can simply do that either by dragging a package from the toolbox there, and you can see the toolbox has shaped itself to be SysML model elements and SysML model relationships as well. So we've got a number of different things we can do there. But let's create a package, and we can put it straight into the diagram if we like. We'll show it a number of different ways there. So we'll drop that package in, and we'll call the package stakeholders. So we want to talk about our stakeholders and the views that they've got. There's the package there. I can put it in the diagram. Let me show you another way of doing that, Scott. I could have just dragged that package from the toolbox and put it onto this stakeholder views and viewpoints there. And I'm going to call this stakeholder, I'll call this viewpoints. So
there you're just dragging it into the browser, but it's still
Yeah, it's still going into the browser. Not on the diagram yet. I can easily fix that by just dragging it from the browser onto the diagram, and I'll just say package element there, and it comes up there. I can line those up. I want them to be longer than they are, so I can multi-select them, and I can drag them if I want to, or I can use the control key there and make them bigger. And you watch how the frame changes its size there.
Resizes, yeah.
Yeah, and I can simply resize one of them like this if I want to, and then select the other one and use the layout ribbon to make them the same width. I can then change the width a little bit, make them a little bit wider there. And let's now look at putting another package in, which is our views. So again, a model package. I'll do it this way this time. And so lots of different options there. And I'll say views there. And I'll, again, make this one a little bit bigger. See, I can pick the same height as the other ones there. I might want to make it a bit longer. It's going to be quite a few things in this view. So I'll leave it there for the moment. And let's create some stakeholders. So one of the key stakeholders in this system is going to be the parking operators. So let's have a look at those. So these are the people that from the day-to-day are operating the parking system, the boom gate system. So you see there's a stakeholder there. I simply select that and drag it onto the diagram there. And I'm going to call it parking operators. Operator singular. And
parking's spelled.
Parking, thanks, Scott. Nice to have someone looking over my shoulder. And this is a bit like pair programming, isn't it?
It is.
Call it pair modeling. Thank you for that. And I'm going to put some notes in for that so we understand who they are. So the daily staff who manage the parking facility and interact directly with the system's operational interfaces. They're responsible for monitoring system status, etc., etc. I'm going to make that a little bit smaller, that element. So I'm going to hold the control key down and use the little arrow keys. And I don't need it to be that big. So I'm just going to put it there. I'm going to create a viewpoint. And so you can see there's a viewpoint here. Drag that onto the diagram as well, and I'm going to call it, I can reuse some of that, and I'll call it the operational viewpoint. Again, I'll make that a little bit wider there, and I'll make that, perhaps I'll make these guys the same size. So I select this one here, and then that one. I can use the layout ribbon and the alignment panel to make these the same size. I'm going to align the tops of them as well there. So there I have it. I can move these guys around in the package there. Now I'm going to create an operational view as well. So we've got our views, our viewpoints there, and our views. So I'm going to create a view here, and again I can get that conveniently from the toolbox. So I drag that on, and I'm going to call this the operational view. Operational view, and we'll make this one a little bit bigger as well. We might put a few different things into this one. So now I'm going to create a view within this view. So I'm going to put this view in, and I'm going to call it the view that's talking about, let's make it payment processing view. So I'll put a payment processing view. So I've got my package diagram has got packages in it. It's got a couple of packages there which containing stakeholder viewpoints. I've got this one here. Now you see, Scott, this has come up, and I've put this one inside here. And it's got operational view, payment processing view. I can already see that from the diagram. So that's very useful in some circumstances where you can't. I'm going to click in the diagram canvas, just in some blank space there, and I'm going to go to the properties of the diagram. And you can see there's a general group there, version, appearance, and then underneath here we have the show, so the display one, if you like, fully scoped object names. That's ticked by default. I'm going to turn that off, and you'll watch what happens on the diagram. The view will simply become the payment processing view. And that makes sense. Yeah. We can already see that's inside operational view there.
Makes
So
it a bit cleaner, easier to read. Yeah.
yeah, that's right, Scott. So again, I can move these things around. Now, what is the view that someone's going to see in this? So what I want to do now is to actually got lots of containers and lots of structure, which is what the package diagram is all about. But I want to actually show now how this stakeholder is going to see the payment processing view. So that's an important thing, making sure that the parking meter system, the boom gate system, is actually funding itself. So let's now look at this element, and we're going to, with that element selected, we're going to right mouse click on it and say new child diagram. Or like I said, we go new child diagram there, and we'll say composite structure diagram there. We'll go new diagram down the bottom, and we'll choose a sequence diagram for this. So this is up to each modeler how they want to show, how they want to display this view, but I think a sequence diagram would be a useful thing to display how the payment processing works, for example. So I'm going to go create that diagram, and you can see now that that diagram frame has popped up. And if I'm over in this one here, I'll save that, and you can see now that this has got a little icon in the bottom right hand corner indicating that there's a diagram underneath it. So what it means is I can click on this element and we can move through to this sequence diagram. Now, this isn't a video about sequence diagrams, but let's just make a quick start in here so we can kind of see what's going on. Let's talk about the way that this might work. Let's put the motorist in here, and we put another sequence in here, and we'll call it the display panel.
Okay.
So we're not going to go into this in detail. We have another video that's coming up very, very soon about sequence diagrams. And of course, we can put a message between these. And so, we start to flesh out our view. So we're not going to, like I said, we're not going to do that here, but let's go back now, close that diagram there, and we can see we can click through here, and then we can come to our view and click back again. And what we're going to do, Scott, is under this operational view, we are going to put a number of other elements, so another number of other views. So one of the other views that we might want to have in this that is the entry process. So how does the entry process work? And so we can simply go back to our toolbox again and take another view and drop it into diagram. We're going to call it the entry process view. Again, we're going to put a little typo there with a capital N. I'll just correct that. And we're going to put some notes in for that one as well. So it's already talking about the kind of view it's going to be. An activity diagram showing the sequence of actions when a vehicle enters a facility, including ticketing, insurance, barrier control, and sensor interaction. So we know that's going to be an activity diagram. We could change that if we weren't completely sure, but we are sure what's going on. And again, I can right mouse click on that and say new child diagram, new diagram, and this time I can choose an activity diagram, and I can say create to that. And again, we're not going to create these diagrams, but you can see now again that in our package diagram we've got this one with a little icon on it as well. So we're using the package diagram to flesh out the stakeholders' views and viewpoints, but we could also just simply have packages inside other packages. So there's no harm in doing that, and we might look at that in a future video. I'm going to get you to do some of your time travel magic now, Scott, and I'm going to finish this diagram off, including putting the relationships in, and I'll see you back here in a couple of seconds.
Welcome back, everybody. We've done a bit of time travel and editing magic, and we've now got our completed package view in SysML on screen. So I'll hand over to you, Stephen, to tell us a little bit about this package view and what it's telling us about the structure within our project.
Yeah, thank you, Scott. Glad to be back here. You can see we've done quite a bit of work. We've added a number of elements. Let's zoom in on the diagram using our pan and zoom facility. I can get to that. It's open here in the bottom right-hand corner. But if it weren't open, remember, I can always go up to the layout ribbon, to the tools panel. There it is, pan and zoom. that focuses it. I can now use the slider to slide in, and then the little viewpoint window can be used to move around. I might even zoom in a little bit more than that. And you can see, I'll just have a look at the stakeholders here. We've got a stakeholder package. That's the package shape there. Remember, it's very similar to a folder in your favorite file system. And you can see we've got a stakeholders package and a viewpoint package there. But let's have a look at the contents of that stakeholders package. And no surprises, it contains stakeholders. We've got our operations manager. I'll just use this zoom to go in here. I'll use another trick, Scott, the presentation helper here. And that, when I select an element, you can see that's highlighting that element for me as I'm going. Yep. So the operations manager, the parking operators as well. So two different levels there. The operations manager is obviously going to have slightly higher concerns. The chief security officer, systems administrator, sales manager, and the maintenance engineer. So a number of these stakeholders you can see are associated with viewpoints. So both the operations manager and the parking operators are associated with the operational viewpoint. And that's, if you think about it, it's kind of like you are going hiking and you decided to stand on the top of an rocky outcrop. That's your viewpoint. And then when you get your binoculars out or you look out across the landscape, what you see in different directions are the views. And so if we move across in the diagram using the pan and zoom, you can see here that that's attached to this operational view, which is contained in the views package. And that operational view contains these other views, so the entry process, the payment process view, etc., etc. And you can see these all have a little icon in the bottom right-hand corner. If you remember back to a few minutes ago,
drill down. Yeah.
You can drill down, Scott. That's exactly right. So let's just do that again so that people understand that. I've drilled through to the payment process. Remember what we said, we haven't done much work on this diagram. The sequence diagram will be displayed and worked on in another video. So let's push that one back. And then we can, again, move over here. And you can see that, the different viewpoints for the stakeholders. So the chief security officer is interested in the security viewpoint. And that links up here with this security view. Now, what's the relationship we've got here, Scott, between the views and the viewpoints? And this is the conforms relationship, or the conform relationship. Okay. So it's saying that view conforms to that viewpoint. So it's kind of like if you were, looking out from your rocky outcrop across a, lovely landscape, and you got your camera out and you took a whole lot of pictures. And when you got back, what you want to do is collect those particular photographs that you took and say all these photographs were taken from this viewpoint. They might be pointing in different directions. You might be looking north, south, east, or west for different views, and you might see a river in one and a mountain in another village in another one. So they're all the views that you see from that viewpoint. So that's the concept. It's quite an intuitive concept, but very, very powerful in the tool, because it allows you to go through the process of asking the stakeholders what kind of things that they're interested in, and then taking that further and saying, okay, well, we need this kind of viewpoint. You're interested in operational things. What kind of views do you want? Well, I want the entry process, the exit process. I'm interested in payment. I'm also interested in the user interface, so that when we're talking to a motorist in trouble through a help button on the interface, that we can talk to them about the interface and say, hey, there's a button in the right hand corner, can you press that, and that will do some particular function. So you can see that again, we've got all those different views in there. We've got the performance viewpoint, traffic analysis, response times, system load, downtime analysis, and the maintenance one, diagnostic tools report, repair time analysis, part inventory, service schedules, lots of things there. What I've done in this one, Scott, is I've done something slightly different with the legend. If you look down here now, I'll show you the legend. What the legend's doing is saying what type of SysML diagram type is each one of those viewpoints. And so you can see here that, let's just move that up a little bit. And you can see here that the requirements diagram is in that pink color, that salmon color. And the sequence diagram, for example, is in the green. And so now if we look over here at the pan and zoom, and we can see that over here, just looking even at the pan and zoom without zooming in, you can see there are yellow boxes, green boxes, blue boxes. So what that's doing is telling me what kind of diagram to expect.
It's underneath each of those,
Each of those ones. So, entry process, what am I expecting? Well, let's have a look. I'll save the changes to that. And here we've got a bunch of viewpoints. And again, we can go under this and go, look, let's look at the operational view. So I clicked on the outer one there, the operational viewpoint, I think, and that gives me the different views. And I can say, look, what is that entry process? I can click on that, and it's going to give me an activity diagram. I don't have that linked yet, but that is linked from this diagram, and I can click on that one from here and go directly to that one, and then through to the activity diagram. So quite powerful, Scott. I just want to show you one other thing that I just built while we were in that time travel mode. So this is looking at stakeholders' viewpoints and views, and you can see that from the toolbox that's a big part of what this package diagram is about. I built another very simple view, Scott, called the viewpoint package structure. So this is a common way to be using the package diagram as well, just to create the relationship between the packages. So here we've got a nested relationships showing that stakeholders' viewpoints and views are inside the stakeholder views and viewpoint package. So that is like a structural view, and we can keep going down with that. And there are some interesting relationships that we can put in there. You can see there's a containment one, there's an import, a dependency, and lots of other relationships that we might look at in a more advanced topic on package diagrams. But a very useful diagram, Scott, and I encourage people to not to overlook this diagram. I find sometimes that people do overlook it and think it's kind of obvious where things lay, but it may not be obvious to stakeholders new to the system, and it gives them a very simple structural view of the lay of the land within their models.
Thanks for that, Stephen. No, it's really good, and I have seen many situations where when one person thinks the structure is obvious, someone else will come along and not think it's obvious at all. So having it done in a visual manner, even for the purpose of discussion, so that everyone's on the same page, can be quite powerful and helpful. So to our audience, thank you once again for joining us today to see the packages diagram in SysML. It's been great to see it come together. As always, if you've enjoyed this video, feel free to like, comment and subscribe to the Sparx Systems YouTube channel. We always appreciate your feedback, and we love getting extra views on these videos, and we love hearing from you. If you have any questions about SysML or the package view in SysML, package diagram, you can reach out to Stephen using the LinkedIn and website credentials that are listed in the video description below. As always, thanks, Stephen, for your expertise and for bringing it all together. It looks very visually appealing and helps outline the structure, and really appreciate all your time and effort. Thank you.
Always a pleasure, Scott.